Hi guys, thank you so much for clicking on my video. And before we get into this video, which is going to be about Harry's cross-examination today, please do hit the subscribe button, the like button, and please do put a comment at the end of this video as to what you're thinking and where you're from and whether you're following this. So it's Tuesday, and as you know, Harry did not turn up to the first day of his trial, which was yesterday. Very unfortunate. He apparently was at Lilibet's birthday party, a 2-year-old in Los Angeles, and he apparently flew and arrived in the UK late on Sunday. So, first of all, why didn't your family all come over to the UK so that you could celebrate her birthday and then attend court on Monday? It seems like this isn't very significant for you and your family. And secondly, if you were here on Sunday, I know that obviously there's jet lag and you're tired and whatnot. But why didn't you arrive in the afternoon on Monday and just sleep through the whole morning? Because, I would have anticipated you would be giving evidence until the afternoon because the morning would have been opening. So it seems to be a bit bizarre that you just chose not to turn up. But anyway, it seems as though your expensive lawyers have dealt with that situation. So what I wanted to bring your attention to is the Telegraph. So the Telegraph here, as you can see, is following the case live. So today is Tuesday, and Prince Harry has arrived at court and he is now giving evidence. So as I record this video, he's being cross-examined. So he's due to be giving evidence for about a day and a half. So a day and a half is cross-examination. So I don't know whether there's going to be some examination in chief there or some re-examination. So that will mean he'll probably be giving evidence for about 2 days. I would not be surprised if his cross-examination doesn't go longer than a day and a half. So this article in the Telegraph, they're following events live, so it's constantly being updated, and it's really, really good article because, as you can see, it sort of gives the times and it sort of summarizes what his evidence and his cross-examination is. So please do check out this article. They're doing a 1 month free trial at the moment, but you obviously have to pay for a subscription for the Telegraph. So I just wanted to quickly start at the end of the article because there is actually some narrative down here that refers to other articles, and they're actually quite helpful. So obviously here's the read more button if you want to read more of these specific articles. So this one here says 33 articles that were published by the Mirror are allegedly obtained unlawfully. So that's what the Duke of Sussex is alleging. And actually, he alleges that there was, or he presented 147 articles that were published between 1996 to 2010 by the Mirror. And it seems as though 1996 and 2010 are quite historic. So I don't know how these have all landed in the case, but okay. I thought there was a statute of limitations, but okay. So they contained titles that he says were contained information that was gathered unlawfully, and he specifically alleges phone hacking. And only 33 of those articles have been selected to be considered at trial. So the Duke is going to be cross-examined on 33 of the 147 articles. So not all of them are subject to trial. And obviously, MGN denies that 28 out of the 33 articles involved unlawful information gathering, and that it was not admitted for the remaining 5 articles. So I understand that the Mirror has already given the Duke an apology because they do accept that there has been some, as it were, unlawful behaviour, but they deny phone hacking. And they deny that there's been these 28 out of 33 articles. So, as you know, the Duke of Sussex is going to be the first royal to give evidence at court in 130 years. So there is a reason why members of the royal family do not appear in court. It's obviously subjecting them to cross-examination, which is an arena that they cannot control, where private information about royals and also the inner workings of the firm will be disclosed and access to the public. And so obviously they don't do it, but Harry's Harry. So I wonder how this is going to go. And I think this is actually going to go a lot worse than he thinks, but he's probably been really, really well prepped by his lawyers. But the reality is that Harry has never been through something like this before. And he thinks that it's his life duty or life purpose to change the British press. And so he's going for it. And I don't know whether there has been any attempt at settling this case outside of court. If there has been, then it would be disappointing that Harry hasn't accepted it. If there hasn't been, well, then, okay, everyone's having their day in court. It seems to me that Harry wants to make a point. He obviously, whether he wins or lose, my personal view is that he wants all of this information out there in the public domain. He wants the public to know about it. He wants there to be this media frenzy around the case because, in my view, he wants there to be the press attention. And also, in some ways, in my view, if the Mirror were to show how they obtained the information and that it was not by unlawful means, does that mean that in some ways or some situations they've got to accept that they were given this information from the palace or from palace sources? And then does that mean that it's sort of Harry's way of showing people that where he has alleged there's been leakage or leaking stories from the palace, is this his way of sort of trying to get the proof and to show everyone, look, I was right? But I don't know. That's just me going on a wing. I don't know. So as you can see here, it says Harry also claims that the Mirror that was under Piers Morgan's editorship hacked Princess Diana, and there's all these sorts of articles here. So the Mirror journalist working under the editorship of Piers Morgan hacked the phone of Princess Diana, Princess of Wales, the Duke of Sussex's barrister has claimed. So David Sherborne, who is representing Prince Harry, and I think he also represented Johnny Depp in his British trial, which he lost, said it was obvious that Mr. Morgan had obtained private information about the late princess from her voice messages. Now, I don't know if Piers Morgan is involved in this trial, if he's a witness, if he's a defendant, I don't really know. But he has spoken quite briefly about this case on YouTube in one of his interviews. And what he says is he denies that he had any knowledge that there was illegal phone hacking. And the thing is you can have, these private individuals giving information to journalists and journalists not know how that information was obtained. I mean, that could be possible. But, he says he had no idea. Harry's team are saying that it happened under his watch. And also, I know from what I've heard from Piers Morgan on various interviews that he says he knew Princess Diana very well. And he says, he used to go to Kensington Palace, and I think he said he's met the boys. He would go and have tea with her or lunch with her, whatever, and discuss various issues. And he did say at one time that he would be fed information from Princess Diana. He'd then publish the stuff in the newspaper, or his team would, or whatever. And then she would deny, well, not deny, but she would then express sort of horror that this information has come out, and what is it doing in the press, and that sort of thing. I'm paraphrasing, but it would look as though she wasn't a part of it, kind of thing, like, oh my god, like how, oh my god, what is this doing in the news, kind of thing. But really she had leaked it to Piers Morgan. So I wonder whether this information was leaked by her to Piers Morgan, but I don't know. I'm just saying. I have no clue. So as the barrister opened the Duke's case against the Mirror Group newspapers, he said that the late princess had become a huge target for the publisher, adding the unlawful activities would have also affected her son. He said it is part of the case that the interception of her messages would necessarily have involved obtaining information about the young prince. So again, Piers Morgan has said that he was giving information directly from her. So I don't know whether that plays into this. Okay, so here's another article. So this is Andrew Green KC, who is the King's Counsel, who is representing Mirror Group. And so as you can see from the heading here, Harry faces court showdown with Beast. So when Harry steps into the witness box at the High Court, he will be faced across the courtroom by a man described as a beast. So Andrew Green KC was called to the bar when the Duke of Sussex was 4 years old. He took silk 13 years ago and has built a formidable reputation as an inquisitor who eviscerates witnesses. The Duke has already riled him and appears to have annoyed the trial judge by failing to show up on Monday, despite witnesses having been told that they should be in court on the day before they are due to give evidence in the case. The hearing goes quicker as expected. So the Duke can expect no favours from a man who's described as an opponent to be feared by the Legal 500 law guide. So Legal 500 is like it's like a catalogue, but like quite a thick catalogue that kind of includes recommended lawyers. And so he's basically highly recommended. And so people put reviews in there and comments. So one of the reviews of him is that he's an opponent to be feared. So yeah, he was annoyed that Harry didn't turn up at court because I think he was prepared to start cross-examination of Harry yesterday. So he cut his opening speech so that he could have some more time with Harry. I understand he said he needs a day and a half, and the court says that he will get a day and a half. However, I would be surprised if he didn't need any longer. So what's really interesting here is that Harry's US visa is to be challenged at court. So what's happening is that in this case, he will be asked some questions about his drug usage. Now, in America, there is a conservative think tank called the Heritage Foundation who has taken umbrage with the fact that Harry has admitted to taking drugs in his book Spear. And they are challenging the US government to produce his visa application to see whether or not he told the truth on his visa application as to whether he used drugs, such as cannabis, cocaine, and some other hallucinogens and so forth. So what they are saying, or why they want this information to be released, my understanding, is that did he tell the truth? And if he didn't, then he lied on his application form, and he shouldn't be treated any differently than any other US citizen. Because as you can remember, the Declaration of Independence says that all men are created equal, and also there are no titles and no royal family in the US. So as far as they're concerned, he's just a normal citizen. So why on earth should he be treated differently if he has lied on his form? And then secondly, if he hasn't lied, then again, on what basis was he accepted? Was he given a visa to enter the US? Because again, if this was somebody else, then would he be treated differently? So, for example, Amy Winehouse, I think, was denied a visa, and also I think Nigella Lawson. She's a famous chef, and this massive story came out in the news that she was doing cocaine. I think it was a photograph of her sniffing cocaine. And I believe, if memory serves me correct, that she was told to get off of the aeroplane, which was on its way to the US. So, why would Prince Harry be any different? And so what they're also alleging is obviously that the Biden administration that's kind of blocking the release of this visa application. They're friends with Harry and Meghan, and Meghan's a Democrat and Biden's a Democrat, and so is there a bit of nepotism going on and a bit of bias? So what's going to be interesting is that this think tank, I can imagine, are going to be closely watching this case, because the Duke is going to be under scrutiny. He is going to be asked questions about his drug usage, and let's see what comes out of it. It's interesting that this is going to be the first time that Prince Harry is actually going to be cross-examined and have no control. He's going to have no control over what he's asked, and that Harry and Meghan always like to pick their favourite reporters, their Tom Bradbys, their Omid Scobys, their Gayle Kings, their Oprah Winfreys, and they, I imagine, have pre-prepared topics or pre-prepared questions. So it's interesting that this is going to be the first time that he's not going to have any control. And so be it. He wants his day in court, so be it. There you go. So this article says, while the Duke is in London, another legal case taking place across the Atlantic is set to take place concerning the US visa, his US visa application. So it's actually taking place on the same day. The US government is set to be challenged in court over its decision not to disclose the reasoning behind admitting the Duke of Sussex into the country, despite his admissions of illegal drug use. Harry's reference to taking cocaine, marijuana, and psychedelic mushrooms in his memoir Spare prompted a conservative Washington, D.C. think tank to question why he was allowed into the US in 2020. And it's the Heritage Foundation that's brought a lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security after a Freedom of Information Act request was rejected, claiming it was of immense public interest. So there we are. So both parties are set to argue the case in federal court for the first time in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. So that's today. So poor lad, you got two cases going on. So this is interesting. What the heck is this? Meghan looks very pretty in this photo. Duke targeted by satirist outside High Court. I'm surprised the police didn't remove him. I mean, he's beyond the barriers, but okay. So the Duke of Sussex has been targeted by a political satirist out of the High Court as he prepares to give evidence. London-based caricaturist Kaya Ma is among the bank of photographers and reporters awaiting Duke's arrival. He's previously targeted Boris Johnson, Theresa May. So he told the Telegraph that he created the artwork ahead of Harry and Meghan's wedding. He said he aimed to show Harry as a primitive hunter who was brought back a wife. He is a nuisance to the royal family. The trouble with him and his wife is that they crave publicity, so they can't have it both ways, he told the Telegraph. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, good for you. And now that he's explained the photograph, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, actually. So good for you. You got your shot. So here's Prince arriving. He looks very happy, doesn't he? Look at this. Look at that face. Okay. I wouldn't be so happy, but okay. And here's some analysis. Prince Harry's army training will help him during the court case. Really? The Duke of Sussex's military training will help him to cope being cross-examined as he takes the stand in his court case against the publisher, Daily Mirror. The only thing that Harry does have on his side is his army training, and if you believe what he said in his book, which I presume we all do, he's been through some very intense, difficult moments during his army training. All right. My personal view is he hasn't been through anything like this before. Being in court, giving evidence is terrifying, and this KC is very experienced, and he will be forensically analysing the evidence. And it says here also, in a discussion with Eamon Holmes and Annabel Webster, she continued, the problem is that he's got no proof. He said, that he's been hacked and will probably all believe him. But he's got to produce evidence, and I think he's going to find it very difficult. So let's just remember that point, because we're going to go into it in a moment. So, okay, guys, we'll take care. I'm going to leave it there. And join me in my next video where I'm going to be talking about the cross-examination. Take care, guys. Bye.